Sheezus, well, I suppose it's about lots of different things, but it starts off, the verses being quite specifically about me sort of re-entering the commercial music scene and my fears about re-entering. And then it kind of goes somewhere a bit weird and just sort of name checks all of the big people in pop music. And I guess it's sort of, I suppose the things that I'm scared of about re-entering the scene are also the things that I find unfair about it at the same time. So, which is, you know, the press sort of pitting women against each other and making us feel like we're all in competition with each other, which I don't think we are. It's sort of like a little fun game that the media play, and I find it a bit unfair. Second verse is about menstruation. And then it goes somewhere really weird, like sort of Pied Piper-esque kind of biblical middle eight section. And then, yeah, it just has a sort of little hip hop outro for insert rapper here to make radio friendly at some point. Latecomer is about my hypothetical sexual relationship with my husband, and it's about him being able to last a very long time in bed and make things more pleasurable for myself than it has been in previous relationships. When my husband said, "What the fuck are you doing? You can't do this. This is our relationship, intimate details of our relationship," I was like, no, it's a character. It's not really you. So I have to sort of keep saying that. And the majority of my record, apart from the stuff that I recorded abroad, is written and recorded in my house because I've got two small children and I like to be present for them. Yeah, so my husband sort of, the room that we do it in is our living room, and not we do it in, we record and write music in. And his office is just like outside and across the way. So he sort of like comes in to get a cup of tea and can hear stuff going on. And I think he probably poked his head round the door and was like, "What is this?" And I go, "Nothing, it's fine, just don't worry about it until it's finished. And then once it's finished, I'm not gonna go back and change it, so it's done." But yeah, he was annoyed. But then he knew what he was getting into when he married me. Air Balloon. Well, first of all, I went and wrote it in Sweden, in Stockholm, with this guy called Shellback, who works with, you know, part of the Max Martin team, which is, you know, an incredible team of people. And I went over there not really knowing what to expect, because, you know, I kind of write exclusively with Greg Kirsten, who's done most of my music up until this point. And, you know, they'd sort of had most of the track kind of built, and he'd actually sung in the vocal of Air Balloon, and he was really adamant that he wanted to keep that because he liked the sound of those words in that space. And so I was sort of like, fucking hell, I've never been on an airplane. So I sort of tried to make it like a sort of metaphorical, sort of slightly trippy escapism song that you couldn't really tell what it was about. And yeah, sort of, I guess, sort of painting a sort of picture of a weird fantasy world. It's quite a departure from my usual stuff, but good nonetheless. I wrote it in the weeks after Miley Cyrus came out with We Can't Stop. I was very inspired by that song. I love that song. And I love Miley Cyrus. And I think I just wanted to write like a party song, you know? Probably because I don't ever party anymore, so it's an escapism thing for me. There's sort of like an undercurrent of seriousness in it in some ways, because it's not just about partying, it's about, I do believe that it's very important to come home at the end of a day's work and switch your phone off, or if it's on a Friday evening, you know, put work to the back of your mind and like reconnect with human beings. And it's something we don't really do that much anymore, you know. It's been a long time since I've had like a night out with the girls that's lasted till sunlight. In fact, I can't even remember when that happened last. So yeah, I think it is sort of like a bit of a fantasy. I think any other young mum would, well not even young mum, new mum would agree that we'd like to have the odd girls' night out a bit more. So the first Lily Allen in that video is the sort of slick back high pony, sort of hard out here-esque styled Lily Allen. I quite like her. The second one is square Lily Allen with her sort of braided halo kind of vibe. She is not my favourite Lily Allen either. Third one is Tragic Britney, Lily Allen. She's my favourite. I like the sort of vomiting blonde in the back of the cab, smoking cigarettes, yeah. Insincerely Yours. The thing is, I think with most of my songs, they kind of like start off being about something and end up being about something completely different. This song, it started out in its early stages as being about, I don't know, it's quite a weird emotional feeling. You know what, I go to lots of these sort of like events, or I used to, and I'm starting to again now for promotional purposes, where, and I suppose you see it online as well, it's sort of like that fake interaction and like, I don't know, at award ceremonies or something, when somebody that you might have met them once before at another award ceremony sort of spots there being a roaming photographer and suddenly it's like, you know, like just trying to be your sort of best friend. I don't know, it's just quite insincere. It's sort of like, what? And I'm quite, sometimes can be a polite person, and I'm not going to tell that person, go away. So I'll sort of stand there and do it, but I feel like quite fraudulent doing it. So yes, in the opening of Insincerely Yours, I name check Cara Delevingne, Rita Ora, and Jordan Dunn. I remember on my first record I had a song called Cheryl Tweedy, which did exactly the same thing really. It was about public perception of this one person and aspiration, and so yeah, it's not really about Cara Delevingne. She just happens to rhyme with magazine. And Rita Ora just happens to be in the Daily Mail every day, and Jordan Dunn rhymes with whatever Jordan Dunn rhymes with. I can't remember what it is, but yes, it's not about those people. It's about what they represent, I think. Yeah, Take My Place is, I don't know, it's quite strange, this song, because it sort of goes somewhere quite real and raw and deep for me. It's about, you know, the death of my first child, and you know, I tend to kind of like talk about stuff really loudly so that it kind of detracts from actually what's going on in a lot of ways. But this song is really sort of just wearing my heart on my sleeve. It was actually the first song that I recorded for this album. So, and you know, I think when I first started, well actually I wasn't recording for this album, I was just writing for writing purposes, and I was with Greg, who did The Fear, so I guess he was probably like, should we start on The Fear? It was quite good. Let's do that again. And then, yeah, the subject matter, I guess, was just like the most present thing on my mind, you know, still is every day, but I would have felt quite fraudulent not sharing that experience, I think, because it's been such a massive part of my life, so I couldn't not cover it. I've been writing all the way through the pregnancy of my second child, and things just sounded really bad, you know, that I kind of couldn't connect with myself, and I think my hormones were just all over the place, and I sort of everything I wrote just sounded awful. And then Greg came over and we did a session of stuff in my living room, and we'd done about 2 days and stuff still wasn't sounding great. And then Azealia Banks just started this beef with me out of nowhere, and it just ignited this juvenile flame that I really needed. And I banged out Insincerely Yours, Latecomer, Silver Spoon, I mean like all of them in about 5 days. Great, thanks Amy. As Long As I Got You is, again, I think because it's such a big part of my life, that style of music now, because I'm subjected to listening to it all the time, I would feel a bit weird not kind of touching on it. So yes, and also the song is really about my husband, and it's his favourite kind of music, although I probably ruined that now. So yeah, and it's about him saving me really, and coming along at a time in my life where I probably most needed to be saved, and he's done a pretty good job. Love him. This song, Close Your Eyes, I think I was listening to, the day before, been on the motorway, and at a service station they were selling TLC's Crazy Sexy Cool, and I bought it, it being one of my favourite albums of all time, and I was in the studio with Greg a couple of days later and I was like, hey man, we should do like a TLC track. And he said, yeah, okay, let's do it. So we did, and Close Your Eyes happened. Again, really embarrassing for my husband. And I'm sorry. It's actually, for some reason, he finds this more embarrassing than Latecomer. I think that sex is not a shameful act, you know? So I think that the more people shy away from these subject matters, the more shame and fear we're inflicting upon people. And I think that people can start to feel better about themselves if we just talk openly about this stuff, you know? And it's quite funny, making a dumb scene of me tottering around in my high heels, dressed up as Beyonce. Like, I mean, it's not, it's not real, but it's quite a stupid image, you know? And we should be able to laugh at ourselves a little bit more, I think. And also to talk openly about these things. Otherwise, there can be no progress. This is a song that I'm going to talk you through now, called URL Badman. I wrote this song in the fallout from my most watched video ever, Hard Out Here, which lots of people took issues to and decided that they didn't like for many reasons. Some of which I respect and understand, and others I didn't so much. And this song, I think, is directed at, well, it was directed at one particular person, and they are twat. I think some people, like especially sort of male music bloggers, really don't like it when women try and venture out of being what they perceive to be a woman's place within music, which is basically to stand there and sing songs that are written for you and look pretty and wear bras in photo shoots. And that's what the song's about. There's a song which is coming towards the end of the album, you'll be pleased to know, called Silver Spoon, which is about, it's not really about I'm quite rich, sorry about that. It's, there are many misconceptions about me. Can you spot out of this lot, which they are. There you go, that's a good explanation. Some of the bits in it are true and some of them are just not true, and it's up to you to join the dots. People love to make their, to make their own mind up and put people in boxes, and my dad left when I was 4, so I find I do take a little bit of offence when people say, you only made it here because of your dad. And it's like, well, I love my dad, I really do, but he did not make life easier. He made life really a lot harder than it should have been. The idea of us sort of like driving around in limos like the Osbournes is just like so far away from reality. But you know, whatever. The life for me with like a lot of my other songs is that sort of juxtaposition of, you know, oh, this is what we think she's talking, oh no, she's gone somewhere completely, what is she on about anyway? And that's, you know, about sort of trying to encourage the idea of, you know, provoking thought, I guess. And this song I wrote right at the beginning of when I started writing again, and it was at a time when I had a really small baby that was quite sick, actually, and it was very hands-on and late nights and very emotionally draining and mentally draining, and but I was, you know, sitting at home on my phone, refreshing Facebook and Twitter and seeing exactly what all my friends were getting up to, and all my peers, you know, from the industry that I just left, and that's this song, I think, is like me talking quite frankly, and then my subconscious, or whatever you want to call it, going, yeah, you've done the right thing. And I had done the right thing. I love my children and my husband very much. On Hard Out Here, I didn't necessarily set out to succeed, you know, to achieve anything with it really. As with any song, it just sort of started off. In fact, I think we were listening to the Chemical Brothers' Salmon Dance in the studio, and that kind of set the pace for the tempo. And I think even like maybe there's a rapper on that song, and I was kind of trying to imitate his flow almost in a certain way. And I don't know where Kitchen came from, but it just came from somewhere. And then thinking rhymes with kitchen, and then it just kind of went from there. And we sat for ages trying to think of a chorus. And I remember having written down, forget your balls and grow a pair of tits, it's hard out here for a bitch, and thinking there's no way Greg's gonna go from this. And then going into the booth and singing it, and him being literally on the floor in hysterical fits of laughter, and me thinking, I was like, it's too much, isn't it? Okay, I'll do it again. And he was like, there's absolutely no way you're changing it, it's got to stay. So that's the story of Hard Out Here.